the three very big misconceptions about Nifaq. Number one is that this disease or this Nifaq or Munafiqah, that was confined to the days of the Prophet only. No Nifaq after him. It's a general misconception. It's partially true, because only the Prophet could know who was a Munafiq, because revelation came to him. So he could declare anybody as Munafiq. He could say, although he didn't declare, he never declared anybody to be Munafiq. He didn't declare even Abdullah ibn Ubay, the Raisul Munafiqeen, the chief of the Munafiqeen, he didn't declare him to be Munafiq. So that is the practice of the Prophet ﷺ. But we know that at least he knew who is a Munafiq. And there is a tradition, there is a riwayah, that when the Prophet was coming back from Ghazwat Tabuk, some of the Munafiqeen, they tried to kill him. They ambushed him when he was passing through a very narrow, what should we call, valley. On both sides were mountains, and there was a very narrow valley from which the Prophet ﷺ was passing. And there were some people with him. About 12 persons they attacked in the darkness of the night. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved the Prophet ﷺ. But then the Prophet told, although nobody could see those people, it was all dark, and they had covered their faces and heads with different cloths, and they were not seen, they were not recognizable. But the Prophet told Hazrat Huzaifa radiyallahu ta'ala anhu the names. They are such and such and such and such people, I tell you. But, O Huzaifa, keep it a secret with you. Never disclose this secret to anybody. Why? Because I have told you that Munafiq is not a legal entity. It's actually the internal condition of a person. The Prophet could know it by wahi, but none else can know it. And when that window of wahi has been closed, after the institution of wahi having coming to an end in the prophethood of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, now we cannot declare anybody a Munafiq. But it doesn't mean that Nifaq has finished up and it is no more there. Nifaq is there. The disease is there. But we can't declare any particular person to be Munafiq. So it is a partial truth that Nifaq was confined in this way, in this meaning, to the days of the Prophet ﷺ, that he could declare anybody to be a Munafiq, although he didn't, but he could. But after him, we cannot say about any particular person that he is a Munafiq. But the second, misconception, which if each one of us peeps down into his heart, he will find that we have got that misconception. And that is, we are safe from Nifaq. How can we have Nifaq? We are Muslims, we are not Munafiqs. Whenever we read Quran and we are reciting the ayat regarding Munafiqeen, we never tremble. We never think that they can be applicable to us. This is the biggest misconception. And let me quote here, two incidents and a saying of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which can remove this misunderstanding and misconception very easily. Number one, a Sahabi, one of the Ansari Sahaba, Hazrat Hanzala radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Once it so happened, he came out of his house. He was very nervous. And he was saying, Nafaqa Hanzala, Nafaqa Hanzala, Nafaqa Hanzala. Hanzala has gone Munafiq. Hanzala has become Munafiq. Hanzala has become Munafiq. He was in a special condition at that time. He met Hazrat Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala on his way. Hazrat Abu Bakr asked him, what's the matter, Hanzala? What are you saying? How do you say you have become a Munafiq? He said, I feel that when I am in the company of the Prophet, in his presence, the condition of my iman, the condition of my heart is somewhat different. But when I come to my home and family, and I am attending to my business or something, other activities, then that condition is no more. I feel there is a difference. This is Nifaq. Hazrat Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala anhu could tell him that this is not Nifaq, and this is a natural thing. But he decided to take him to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so that the real teaching comes from the tongue of the Prophet himself sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Hazrat Abu Bakr said, oh Hanzala, if it is that, but I also feel the same thing. When we are in the presence of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, our condition, our hearts, we are, as if we are seeing with our own eyes the Jannah and the Nar. But when we go to our business, our homes, that condition doesn't persist. So that condition is with me also. So let us go to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and ask him what's the matter, what's the reality. They went there and Hazrat Hanzala narrated. And then the Prophet said, no Hanzala, it's not Nifaq. Your condition that you have and experience in my presence, it cannot be permanent. If it becomes permanent, then the angels will come and shake hands with you on their beds. Actually, when you are in my presence, that condition, it cannot be permanent. فَإِنَّهَا يَا حَنْزَلَةُ سَاعَةً فَسَاعَةً. This type of depth of commitment, the depth of iman, this istihzar, this can be had time to time. It cannot be persistent, it cannot be permanent. But why I quoted this incident, that Hazrat Hanzala, a Sahabi, a companion of the Prophet, he didn't think that Nifaq cannot attack him. He cannot have the disease of Nifaq. He didn't think I am mahfuz and mas'oon, I am safe, I can never have any Nifaq. This was not the understanding, this was not the feeling of Hazrat Hanzala. Now let me come to Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala. He is number 2 according to Ahl Sunnah, topmost Sahabi Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala. Number 2 among the Sahaba, Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala. And you know because I have told you that the Prophet told the names of some munafiqeen to Hazrat Huzaifa. Once he went to Huzaifa radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma and he asked him, in the name of Allah, I ask you, O Huzaifa, tell me, was my name also included in those names of munafiqeen about whom the Prophet told you? And he said, no, although I can't tell you the names, but should be sure your name was not among them. So Hazrat Umar didn't think that he is exempt. He is immune. This disease cannot affect him. So how come we are absolutely sure we cannot have nifaq? And now let me give you the hadith. Once the Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ma aminahu illa munafiqun, wa ma khafahu illa mu'min. It's only the mu'min who fears lest this disease should affect him. And it's only the munafiq who thinks he is immune from that disease. Ma aminahu illa munafiqun. Nobody thinks himself safe and immune from this disease except the munafiq himself. And nobody has the fear of nifaq lest it should attack him except a mu'min. And it's very logical, If there is some traveler, you just imagine the travelers of the past, people going on foot or on horsebacks or on camelbacks traveling, and they had their money or cash with them. Now if night fell and person, he's sleeping, he was always half asleep only. He was conscious lest somebody comes and steals his money. But who doesn't have any money? Well, he could sleep. He could enjoy very, very sound sleep. There is a very beautiful couplet in Urdu from Ghalib. Raha khatka na chori ka, dua deta hu rahzan ko. Once the robbers have robbed me, I have nothing now. So I have nothing to fear now. Now I can sleep, I can have a very sound sleep because there is no danger of any theft because all that I had has gone. So and now I can, enjoy very sound and deep sleep. Raha khatka na chori ka, dua deta hu rahzan ko. So actually, whosoever has some iman, he will fear lest he loses this iman. Whosoever doesn't have any iman, well, he will not at all have any fears that he will lose anything. So that is logical also what the Prophet said. Ma aminahu illa munafiqun, wa ma khafahu illa mu'min. What is the third, misconception? Most of us think that the munafiqeen are conscious munafiqeen. They deceive consciously. They know that they are deceiving. They know that we are not Muslim or Mu'min and we are only deceiving the Muslims. It's not the case. Rather, the bulk of the munafiqeen of the times of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam were unconscious munafiqeen. They didn't think themselves to be munafiq. I will discuss this issue because it's very important in detail later on.